Hey everybody! So, now that we've shot out our PVC horse bow, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you guys how to finish it up. So, well, there are a couple ways you can finish up a bow like this. And this is one way to finish up a bow. This one's pretty simple. All it is it's covered in cloth on both limbs, and then it's covered with canvas in the handle. And the way you cover it is basically, you can see the seam here. What you want to do is you want to just take a piece of cloth, measure the circumference of the pipe, and then you want to sew it inside out, turn it around. It's kind of like you're basically just making a sock for this, and then you slide it over, and then you can either glue it on or you can just tie it at the handle and at the tips to secure it on. So this is one way to do it. I like doing this for kids' bows or bows that are going to get thrown around, because the cloth won't scuff up. You know, it also protects the pipe from any scratches or scrapes or dings that could weaken it. And the cloth does a good job of just helping protect it from UV damage. Now another way to go, and one that I think is a lot more impressive looking, is to finish your bow like this. So here on the back side, it's just painted. This one's painted kind of a dark green color. I went ahead and I painted the tips on this because the Siyahs on this one, if you can see, they're really short. This is the length of the Siyah right here. We're actually, for the bow that we're going to do today, we're going to leave the tips natural, and we're going to finish that separately. But you can see the top is painted, and then the belly is actually dyed. This is just dyeing it and messing with the dye to kind of give an appearance, at least from a distance, it looks like horn. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you want to do, as you can see here, we have this transition from where we inserted the Siyah into the PVC pipe. What you want to do is you want to you can use sandpaper or a file or a grinder and actually grind these edges down so that it blends in with the wood a little better. So if you can see, this is what I'm talking about. You just want to grind it. You don't want to grind any more than about 3/4 of an inch in, and you don't want to make it too thin. You want to actually sort of round it. If you can see, it's kind of rounded out here, because you still need the strength in this joint. You don't want it too weak. Another thing too is that your tip should not wiggle or make any kind of noise. When you first string it up and you start shooting it, it should be fine, but it should settle down. Like this one kind of made a shifting noise, but now it doesn't move. So as long as it's sturdy like this, if it's still shaking around before you grind it, what you want to do is you want to take this on your heat gun or your stove top. You get this heated up, and then you just want to take a hot pad and you want to press it, or you can even take it in a clamp or a vise and just clamp it, so that when it cools down, it's really got a good hold on the Siyah here. So once you've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go ahead and just sand this whole pipe. I like sanding until all the markings are off, but you could actually use paint thinner will work. You can actually wipe off all of your markings first, but I still like to sand afterward up to at least about 220 grit. That way when we dye the belly, it'll take the dye and it won't just go right off. So I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back. Alright, so once you've sanded this, and as you can see, you can still see some of the words on the back here. I usually don't sand the front so much because we're just going to be painting over it. And when you paint over this, you won't be able to see it. I like scuffing it a little bit because sometimes if it's really dark and you're using a light paint and primer, it might show through. But for the belly side, you want it to be completely clean from end to end. And then you also want it to go and sand your Siyahs and make sure they blend nicely. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, in preparation for spray painting this, what we're going to do is we're going to take masking tape and wrap the tips on both sides, and we're also going to tape the belly portion and just cover that in masking tape so that when we spray paint this, we can take the masking tape off and then we can make it look like horn on the bottom. So I'm going to go tape it up and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Alright, so this is what you want to do. You just want to take your masking tape and just tape up both of the Siyahs. And then here on the belly you can see I've got it from maybe about half an inch from this lump from the joint here, going all the way across to the other side. And then you can see I've gone about halfway up the side of the bow. So when we do this right, if we do this right, it's going to give the illusion that this bow has been backed with something and painted, as a lot of these styles of bows were, and then the belly is a horn. So first what we're going to do is we're going to paint a primer on this. You could just use a one-step plastic paint, but I always like using a primer, especially because it'll help hide any of these markings here, especially if you're trying to go for a brighter color. So I'm going to go do that. Alright, so here you can see I've got the primer coat on it. So once this dries a little bit, just follow the instructions for whatever spray paint you're using. So here's the primer coat. You want to make sure everything is covered and that all your lines are clean. And then we'll go and paint it.